coming to the end of a 16-year relationship and a 14-year marriage. And one thing I keep noticing in my comments is how low the bar still is when people talk about men. Because anytime I describe a relationship where a woman feels disconnected, unseen, unfulfilled, or quietly lonely inside of it, somebody always shows up with the same little starter pack.
Well, he goes to work, he comes home, he not cheating all the time, he's not abusive, he cooks you breakfast, he sounds like a good man.
And every time I read that, I'm like, damn. Is that where we still are? Because it's not 1952. The standard cannot still be that he clocked in, came home, and didn't publicly embarrass you. That is not a relationship. That is attendance. And listen, I'm not saying those things don't matter. Of course they matter. A man going to work matters. A man coming home matters. A man not cheating matters. A man not being abusive is obviously important. Breakfast is cute. We love a waffle. But I need us to be so serious. Those things might make someone decent on paper. They don't automatically make the relationship feel good to live inside of. And I think that's where a lot of people.
Wow, yo, fellas, it is hard to be a man out here, much less a good man, because this is the thanks you're going to receive for being a good man. Let me tell you about an app called Free Cash. Free Cash is the #1 app worldwide, allowing users like yourself to make money off their phone for free. If you want to make $200 plus a week for free, download using my link in the description or the QR code on the screen. If you download now for free using my link or QR code, you will get a free $5 into your account for free. That's $5 for free, no requirements. So download Free Cash today to make easy, quick, and free money. It's like, yeah, you could do all these things, but what about that? Or what about this? It's scary if you marry the wrong woman, bro, because she will never be satisfied, regardless of what you do. It's crazy.
People get stuck. They measure a relationship by the absence of obvious harm. So if he's not hitting you, cheating on you, cussing you out, gambling away the rent money, or disappearing for 3 days with no explanation, then people act like you should be grateful and hush. But what if nothing dramatic is happening and you still feel lonely? What if he's there, but he's not really with you? What if he provides, but he doesn't know you? What if he comes home every day, but you still feel like you're living beside someone instead of living with someone? That's the part people don't always have language for. Because from the outside, the relationship might look fine. No chaos, no scandal, no big explosive thing you can point to and say, see, that's the problem. But inside the relationship, you feel flat. You feel unseen. You feel like your inner world is starving, but you feel guilty for saying that out loud because everybody keeps telling you how lucky you are that he's not worse. And listen, at least he's not worse is a terrible foundation for a life. Because after a while, you start negotiating with yourself. You start saying, well, maybe I'm asking for too much. Maybe this is just marriage. Maybe men just aren't like that. Maybe emotional connection is something women care about more. Maybe I should be grateful because he's a good man. And that's where it gets dangerous. Not dangerous like dramatic movie trailer dangerous. I mean dangerous in the quiet way. The way you slowly start abandoning parts of yourself because you can't justify needing them. You stop bringing things up because you already know the conversation won't go anywhere. You stop expecting curiosity. You stop hoping he'll ask deeper questions. You stop looking for that moment where somebody says,
No, really, how are you doing?
You stop wanting to explain your inner world because you've learned there may not be anywhere for it to land.
And this is when a woman is ready to return back to the streets. Fellas, a bird always return back to the streets, bro. Whether it's a year, 5 years, 10 years, in this case, 14 years. Now, she been married to her husband for 14 years. When it comes to marriage, based on your vows, it's till death do us part. When it comes to a bird, as soon as she gets bored in the marriage, she has to return back to the streets. It's a must. And this is why, as a man, you got to be very selective when it comes to choosing the right woman, because you can't tame a bird's energy. And the sad thing about women like this, they will always target a good man, right? Because they know they wasn't really that into him at first, but because they reached a point in their lives where they wanted to be a wife, they found a sucker, right? And you got to keep in mind, these women will marry a man that they are not attracted to just to be a wife. So after a while, a woman will stop pretending. She will get annoyed because it's like, okay, I'm a wife now, but it's like, yo, he's mad boring, man. It's like, I can't deal with this guy. I can't stand him. After a while, she can't stand you. She can't stand the way you talk. She can't stand the way you breathe. That's when it reached a boiling point where she has to return back to the streets. And this is exactly what this sounds like.
After a while, you're not just lonely. You're lonely and gaslighting the fuck out of yourself about being lonely. That'll really mess with you because it's one thing to be lonely alone. At least that makes sense. But being lonely inside a relationship will have you questioning your whole nervous system like, girl, are we being dramatic? Are we being spoiled? Are we ungrateful? What's going on here? And I think a lot of women know exactly what I mean. You're sitting next to someone on the couch, but there's no real connection. You're talking about bills, groceries, schedules, the kids, appointments, dinner, errands, who needs what, and what time somebody has to be somewhere. And all of that matters because life is life. Somebody has to buy paper towels, right? But when that becomes the whole relationship, something starts drying up. Because where's the part where we know each other? Where's the part where you're curious about what's happening inside me? Where's the part where I get to be a full person and not just the household operations manager with better outfits? Where's the part where we're not just maintaining a life, but actually sharing one? That's the difference. A relationship can be functional and still not be intimate. A man can go to work, come home, sit on the couch, pay bills, stay faithful in the technical sense, and still not know how to create closeness. That doesn't automatically make him a villain, but it also doesn't mean the relationship is nourishing. And I think we need to be mature enough to hold both of those truths at the same time. Sometimes the issue isn't that someone is terrible. Sometimes the issue is that the relationship is underdeveloped. It has structure, but no depth. It has routine, but no aliveness. It has history, but not enough real.
Lady, you are married. See, the thing about women like this, bro, they don't take marriage serious. The only reason why they even get married is for the title of being a wife. Because some women feel like their value increase with the title of a wife. That's the only reason. It's not about commitment. Because when you decide to marry a woman, you're planning the rest of your life with her. Like, okay, this is going to be my woman for the rest of my life. Like, whatever we go through, we're going to work through it. We're going to figure it out. But I'm making a decision right now in my vows to live the rest of my life with this woman regardless. After 14 years of marriage, this is just a woman who's ready to return back to the streets. Because if a man is a good man, if he's doing all the basic things, I'm pretty sure that's a man who will work it out with her and try his best to fix his marriage. A man is not going to invest 14 years into a woman and just want to walk away from that. That's a major investment. This is why y'all dudes got to be careful out here saving a bird. Your main job is to step back and observe your woman. Pay attention to details. You got to know your personnel, bro. Because this right here is crazy. This is the story of a typical bird. After she's done powering up off of that man, she's ready to return back to the streets. You know why? she already planned her exit. The day she married that man, the divorce was already planned. Y'all gotta understand that about women, bro. It's all part of their plan. Some women will say, okay, let me get with this dude. I'm gonna marry him. I'm gonna have kids with him because he's gonna be a great provider. And after 10 years, I could be free again. After 10 years, I could be free again. Fellas, it's real out here, man. And whole time, her husband is oblivious to all this shit. He has no idea that his wife feels this way. Shit is crazy, man.
Knowing. And that kind of relationship can wear you down in a way that's so hard to explain because people want the wound to be obvious, right? They want a smoking gun. They want to hear he cheated or he hit me or he abandoned us because then they know where to place the concern. But what do you do when the wound is not one big event? What do you do when the wound is years of not feeling emotionally met? Years of bringing up thoughts, your fears, your growth, your grief, your dreams, your questions, your little internal weather reports to someone who doesn't even really know how to meet you there. After a while, you stop bringing yourself. That's the cost. You don't just lose connection with them, you can start losing connection with yourself. You start editing your needs down to what feels reasonable. You stop asking for depth because you don't want to seem needy. You stop craving emotional intimacy out loud because people keep acting like wanting to be known is some luxury add-on. Like,
oh, you want a man who pays bills and ask about your inner world? Look at you, high maintenance.
No, that's not high maintenance. That's a relationship. And yes, this goes both ways. Men need to be known too. Men need emotional connection too. Men need a place where they can be more than a provider, more than a problem solver, more than the person who keeps them moving and never says what's actually happening inside of them. That's part of why this whole setup is bad for everybody. Because a lot of men were taught that their job was to provide, stay out of trouble, be useful, don't cry, don't need too much, don't talk too deeply. And for the love of God, don't be soft. Then they get into relationships with women who are starving for emotional presence and everybody is confused. The woman is like, why don't I feel connected to him? The man is like,
what you mean? I'm here.
And that right there is the gap because present in the house is not the same as being present with me. Being deep.
Man, fellas, man, I'm telling y'all, bro. Look, the Bible says a man who finds a wife finds a good thing. What you got to understand is finding a good woman out here is rare. The majority of these women are birds. And that's just the reality. I mean, you could believe it if you want. But this is a woman who was married to a man for 14 years. And this is how she sounds after 14 years of marriage. I'm just saying, bro, it's real. You have to take a step back and pay attention to your girl, bro. If your girl shows, because the signs are always there. So you can't say you didn't know. You ignored the signs. That's just the bottom line. Because this right here, bro, is just a bird who got bored and wanted out. Even though she made a major commitment. See, birds are not designed to be wives. So when you take a bird who is indisciplined, she loves drama, turmoil, that's what she craves. When you take a woman like that and put her into a marriage that requires a person to be extremely disciplined and consistent and even become boring because everything that's good in life requires discipline and consistency, and that becomes boring. It's just like if you want to lose weight, you got to go to the gym and you got to be disciplined and you got to have the same routine daily. So it becomes boring, but the key thing is you made a commitment. Regardless of how boring it is, you have to be disciplined and stick to it based on your commitment. The thing about a bird doesn't take commitment serious. She will always return back to the streets. She will always be unloyal because she doesn't know how. You can't turn a bird into a housewife. This is what's going to happen. She's going to reach a point where, ah, I'm tired of pretending. Oh man, he's a good guy though. He is a good guy. But it's like, man, it's the little things he's not doing. He's not really tapping into my emotions. I gotta leave him. I know I married him. Like I know we are married, and I know I made my vows, but he's just too boring, and I'm lonely. I gotta go. Shit is crazy, bro.
Decent is not the same as being engaged. Not hurting me is not the same as loving me well. And I think a lot of people don't like that distinction because it raises the standard. It means we can't keep calling basic adulthood deep love. It means we can't keep telling women to be satisfied with a relationship that only looks good from a distance. It means we have to stop acting like emotional loneliness is just the price of being partnered because it's not. And I need to say this carefully because I know how people like to twist things on these apps. I'm not saying leave every man who doesn't ask you poetic questions by candlelight. Everybody does not need to be out here discussing childhood wounds over a charcuterie board. Please. Sometimes you just need somebody to ask, how was your day? And actually stay present long enough to hear the answer. Sometimes you need somebody to notice that your energy changed. Sometimes you need somebody who wants to understand you without making you feel like you need a PowerPoint, 3 witnesses, and a closing argument. Sometimes you need to feel like the person beside you is interested in the person you're becoming, not just attached to the role you play in their life. That matters. Because if you stay too long in a relationship where your inner world has nowhere to go, you may start making yourself smaller just to fit the container. You may stop growing out loud. You may stop telling the truth. You may start believing your needs are the problem instead of noticing that the relationship doesn't have room for them. And that's not a small thing. So when people say,
But he sounds like a good man.
I understand what they usually mean. They mean he's functional. They mean he's decent. They mean he's not out here wild. Cool. But the question isn't just, is he a good man? The question is this a good connection? Because those are not always the same thing. A man can be good and still not be good for the version of you that wants to be fully known. A relationship can look stable and still feel emotionally empty. A home can be peaceful because nobody is yelling, but still be lonely because nobody is really reaching for each other. And if the only thing we ever teach women to ask is he hurting me? Then we leave no room for the better questions. Do I feel seen here? Do I feel known here? Do I feel met here? Do I feel like I can grow here? Do I feel alive here? Because that matters too. And I think a lot of women are finally starting to realize that he's not hurting me and I feel deeply loved here are not the same damn sentence. One is survival, the other is connection. And we need to stop confusing the two. I'm coming to the end.
Now, she's about to walk away from a 14-year marriage in hopes to find better. See, birds are prone to making bad decisions, bro. Understand that one thing about a bird, she's going to make bad decisions. If you come across a woman who is out here with a history of bad decisions, you ain't got to question the type of woman that is. And it goes back to a woman not being disciplined, a woman not being consistent. Fellas, that's very important in life. That's going to tell you exactly who a person is, because if a person is not disciplined, bro, there's no way they could be in a committed relationship for a long period of time. It's impossible. Now, the sad thing about this situation, bro, is the typical story of a bird. This is why they say all women are the same. Because they all got the same story, bro. It's the same play every time. It's sad out here, man. But fellas, be careful out here, bro. That's just the bottom line. Because I really feel bad for her husband. Seriously. He invested so much into this woman, and this is the outcome. See, this is why I tell you all dudes all the time, bro. If a woman got a podcast where she is talking about her relationship, especially a married woman, that's a bird. Because a virtuous, righteous woman understands that her relationship is sacred, bro. She's not going to share it to the world. But a bird don't really value relationships. A bird value vibes. Bird values a good time. But once things slow down and that man start to do what he needs to do as a man by going to work and providing, and things become boring for a bird. A bird is all about the vibes. She don't care about the fact that you busting your ass, working hard. She want to have fun. So now she wants to compete with your purpose for her time. And while you're thinking everything is going great, you handling your business as a man by providing, she's over there planning her exit because you're boring to her now. Her emotions are not being stirred up. There's no drama. It's no turmoil. It is what it is, man. Fellas, be wise out here, man. That's just the bottom line. Imagine him getting a hospital treatment with, and the baby's coming out. Fellas, again, focus on yourself. That's what it is.